This for faggots.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Kris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of On the Line, where I just come on really quick and I just give you all some, the latest hot topics and what's going on in the entertainment industry. This episode is going to be a little falling on a lot on the queer spectrum because we got a lot to talk about. I definitely had to jump on here and talk about this breaking story that came out today, where Billy Porter came out in the Hollywood Reporter and then revealed that he is HIV positive. So I want to give my thoughts on that. Plus, MJ Rodriguez, who is from Pose, the same show as Billy Porter, is working on a comic book. She revealed this last night on Stephen Colbert. I want to give my thoughts on that. Also, Zack Snyder, and this is where, I'm about to just drag Warner Brothers through the mud on this. He revealed that he worked on a 300 sequel, and it was going to feature a gay love story, and Warner Brothers passed on it. Surprised, but not surprised, but not really, because and I have my issues with Warner Brothers, so we're going to talk about that. Plus, I want to talk about this situation that's going on where the police have been banned, the NYPD, because I'm from New York. I want to give my thoughts on the NYPD being banned by the gays, by Goal and a lot of the gay organizations, from participating in New York City Pride for the next, I believe, 4 or 5 years. I want to give my thoughts on that and a whole lot more. I'm probably going to do 2 videos today because there's a lot of other topics I want to talk about, but I don't want to have this stretch out for like 2 hours. So, I want to keep it short because I know there are people that's going to be watching this on YouTube and all the other streaming platforms. So those of you who are watching live, hello, how you doing? Those of you who are watching this later on, so I'm going to be stopped. So without further ado, let's get into our topics. And also, before I do, feel free to follow me on all my social media platforms. It's at Kris Avalon NYC. It's at Kris Avalon Official. So that's OFFI1, because, apparently they don't let you put the whole thing on Twitter. So I'm on that one on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram as well. And you can just follow me as well. If you see me on Facebook, you can find me. Basically, just read the damn bottom. All the stuff is there. I always forget that. Yeah, everything is down there. Below the screen, look down below. Look down below. It's all there. The creation gods, the producing gods, to put all that down there for y'all to follow. But anyway, so let's get to the story. So you already know I'm about to talk about it. Billy Porter. This morning, I woke up and I saw this photo. I was going through Instagram and I saw like this big Hollywood Reporter photo of Billy Porter, as you see, where he reveals that for the past 14 years, he has been living with HIV and has stated that this is what someone with HIV looks like now. And I think this is telling me, because I believe, isn't this like HIV Awareness Month or something or another? I'm probably getting my situations confused. But as someone who has been an advocate and has worked with people in the past who are infected and affected by HIV. I think this is great news, and I think this is a long time coming that we actually have someone who is in the industry who is brave enough to come out and say, this is who I am, this is what I look like, take it or leave it, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. And if you haven't read the article, definitely head over to the Hollywood Reporter after this episode, please, and read the whole thing. So, because it's definitely a story worth reading. So, the Emmy Award-winning actor who you all know plays Pray Tell on one of my favorite shows, Pose. I'm still upset that it's about to be over soon. I think we have like what, 3 more episodes left. He spoke candidly about the shame he experienced since seroconverting, and now he's overcome it to find the courage to speak out about his HIV status. And he said the following. He says, I was the generation that was supposed to know better, and it happened anyway. It was 2007, the worst year of my life. I was on the precipice of obscurity for about a decade or so, but 2007 was the worst of it. By February, I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. By March, I signed bankruptcy papers, and by June, I was diagnosed HIV positive. Now, Porter went on to recall that he wanted to keep his diagnosis a secret from his mother and planned to wait until she passed away to go public, and said, she's not going to be here long, and then I'll write my book and come out, and she won't have to live with the embarrassment of having an HIV positive child. He says his mother is still alive. I should point that out, however, and according to the actor, she ain't going nowhere. Now, the 51-year-old actor also revealed that it was portraying Pray Tell on Pose, a character who you all know is HIV positive, that allowed him the opportunity to work through the shame, and says, and the brilliant Pray Tell and this opportunity was that I was able to say everything that I wanted to say through a surrogate. My compartmentalizing and disassociation muscles are very, very strong, so I had no idea I was being traumatized or triggered. I was just happy that somebody was finally taking me seriously as an actor. And, the man is booked and busy, after Pose. He already is playing Cinderella in a movie with one of them singers that I don't like playing Cinderella, but I'm going to still watch Cinderella when it comes out because, not Pray Tell, Billy Porter is going to be in the movie as, the fairy godmother. So I'm definitely looking forward to that just to see his part. He also revealed that he has new music coming out and he has a memoir coming out. And, we have Pose. He's directing his first film, which is about a trans child. I believe it's taking place in his hometown of Pennsylvania. And, he's being joyful. He says, but he's trying to be present. And one of the effects of trauma is not being able to feel joy. So one of the things I have to say is having Pose come along. And I know people say that, any actor could just play anything. But I really feel like Pose is cathartic for not only the actors who have participated in the show, but those of us who are fans of the show that are watching it, because I feel like in so many ways when I watch the show, I'm working out a lot of traumas that I have. I'm working out a lot of things that I have in my life, and things, if you are a person of color and you're gay, what those triggers and those traumas are. Particularly in that last episode that just came on, where you saw you were a gay child of color growing up at the church and that whole situation that was going on with that. There's so many things that goes on in our community that we don't speak on. And I'm sorry, shout out to the white folks, but just be present, just watch, just be quiet, just learn, just see what we got. Our experience, yeah, we all under the rainbow, big rainbow umbrella, but a lot of our situations, you cannot relate to them. So just sit on the sideline and enjoy it and just watch or whatever. And seeing that Billy has come a long way in, what's happening with him, and he's allowed himself to be present and to work through his personal traumas and those triggers that he buried for so long as a young person at 51 years old, working through those traumas by playing Pray Tell. And people don't realize, as an actor, what's asked of you is to work through a lot of the situations that you deal with in your personal life and put that filter it through the character that you're playing. That's how a lot of times the character is believable when you play them. And it's not just with a gay person playing a gay role or a trans person playing a trans role. It could be just any kind of thing. I could have had a personal trauma in my life and I can embody that through the character that I'm playing that's complete, like a serial killer or whatever, or an action movie star, whatever the case is. So it's not just necessarily just something like Pose, but it's a muscle that you use to funnel it through whatever character you're playing. So there's some sort of relatability, which is why, you see people winning Oscars and stuff, because they take something from something that's going on in their life and they bring that into the character and it becomes believable. So definitely, guys, if you have a chance, check this article out. I love Billy Porter, and I've seen him around New York a lot before people even knew who he was. I was well aware of his husband, Alan Porter Smith. I've seen him at events and things of that nature. And I feel like what this does is take the stigma out of HIV and people's negative aspects towards HIV, because HIV is no longer as it was when you watch Pose, and that was like the 80s and 90s. It was a death sentence then. Like, we call that the gay Holocaust. That's what a lot of us refer to that as. But now it's no longer a death sentence. You can live a long time with HIV, and you can live a long time with AIDS. And, that's basically what it is. And shout out to those of you out there who I know personally who have been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS and are living, you know, living the long life that you lived. And one of the things I also need to point out, kissing a guy with HIV. So now I don't want to hear no negative shit like, oh, so does that mean Dylan Burnside has got HIV because he had a sex scene and kissed on? But no, first of all, educate yourselves. That is not how you get HIV. You can't get it from kissing someone, holding someone's hand, all that other, that's not how you get it. If you need to learn how to get it, there's plenty of ways. Google it. Google is your friend. You can educate yourselves. This is not the corner where I'm going to sit here and educate you on how to prevent yourself from getting HIV. You can get it not only from sex, but you can also get it from sharing needles. You can get it from, a lot of different situations. So, as I said before, shout out to Billy. And yes, him putting a face to this goes to show that, let's take the stigma out and people stop looking at people who have HIV and AIDS as dirty, as diseased, as nasty, as, let's stop looking at people like with that disease as in a negative light. So once again, I love you, Billy. Proud of you for coming out and speaking your truth. And hopefully it opens doors for more people within our community and people who are in the industry who are gay, non-gay, because straight people, quiet as it's kept. I know it's hard for some of y'all to believe based on history, but straight people got it too and can get it. So yeah, shout out to you for that. Now, speaking of Pose, let's talk about my girl MJ Rodriguez. So, she appeared on a late show with Stephen Colbert and didn't only talk about her role on the award-winning FX drama, which I'm hoping and praying that she gets some Emmy nomination and a win this year for, playing Blanca Evangelista. She also revealed that she's working on her own comic book. Now, she says, this is my character, and this is what, in the video, she held up a book of drawings, and then she says, as you can see, we're going through name changes. I don't know what I'm going to name her. It was either Nivea or Patience. I vote Nivea, by the way. The drawing showed basically a tall, thin, and beautiful woman with sharp cheekbones and powerful hair. Well, pretty much sounds like MJ, but whenever, us, for those of us who are fans of comic books and we create comic book characters, I think like if the day came around where, and I have thought about it, like I've had conversations with people, because a friend of mine, Alex, he has comic books out based on a lot of stuff, one of my film school friends, he has a bunch of comic books out where, characters are basically based off of, ideas in his head. But for me, like if I'm going to create a main big character or whatever, I want it to kind of resemble me as well. So I can totally see why MJ would model a character after her. So she says that I've been building her up. She's kind of like me. She's this misunderstood girl in the world. She has a lot, obviously, that's stacked against her, but she beats the odds. What I want to know is what's the character based on, what it's about, what her power is, what story you're trying to tell. Like, I'm sure when she'll let us know when she gets all that going. And the character looks pretty cool, though. Like, I've seen the drawings and stuff. If you want to check out the article, it's on out.com. They have the whole outline, or you could go on the Colbert Late Show, and they have the tweets and stuff on there where you can see the video outline and stuff. Now, she said that she's still working on it, but making progress. She's basically 26 pages in, almost done with the second draft, and she's happy with what they have. And if the day doesn't come, and I should also point out that, as a kid, she went into her uncle's room and stole his comic books, and she got hooked. And she says that at the end of the day, if there was an opportunity for her to play a comic book character, the character she would love to play is Elektra. And I'm like, that'd be a great role. First of all, I loved Jennifer Garner as Elektra. Hated the Daredevil movie she was in, and the Elektra solo film she was in, but she was good in the role. I loved the Elektra that they had on the Daredevil TV series. But if they ever decide to reboot Daredevil, I would love to see a twist where we can get, a trans woman in the role of Elektra playing an assassin. Like that, I think would be a great idea to see something completely outside the box, something completely different that that we could see with that. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. There's a lot of people who's creating a lot of different comic books. Whoopi Goldberg recently came out and said that she's creating a comic book based on a woman of a certain age, and I guess her power is menopause or something or another. I don't remember, but she did talk about it on The View, and I like the fact that we need more diversity. We need to see not only diverse comic book characters, instead of even though we have a black Superman, I don't want somebody trying to take a white character and make them black just to shut us up, because it basically just shows the lack of creativity that goes on in the world where we're creating superheroes that are more diverse. I like the fact that we have people who are taking matters into their own hands and creating comic book characters, because we don't see those people out there. And that's why my friend Alex created, when he has his body jumpers and Dawn and Serta Dawn, you can look all those up on YouTube. When he created these characters, it was because he didn't see someone who was a black woman or a Latinx woman who was a lead vampire hunter, or a superhero type that flies and comes from a different planet and is saving people. Like, we don't see that, and lives in Brooklyn. We don't see those representations. So when you don't see the representation, we got to be the change we want to see in the world and create those characters. So I just think it's awesome that we have people like my friend, that we have MJ, and we have Whoopi Goldberg, who are out here creating these characters. And who knows, I'll probably be creating a character of my own sooner rather than later. Now, speaking of, and I should also point out that, Rodriguez, after she finishes shooting, well, I think they're done with Pose already. But once Pose is done, she has another gig. So, I'm happy for her. She's about to start in this new series opposite Maya Rudolph on Apple TV Plus, where she's going to play Sophia, the hardworking executive director of the nonprofit Mali Funds. So MJ is booked and busy, and I like the fact that I'm seeing my girls out here still making their coin. Now, speaking of things that I would love to see, but probably never see the light of day because Warner Brothers is fucking stupid. Army of the Dead director Zack Snyder is saying that he worked on a $300 sequel during the pandemic, but Warner Brothers passed on it because it ended up being a gay love story. Now he says, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing Army of the Dead, which I think comes out on Friday. Now he says, over the pandemic, I had to deal with Warner Brothers, and I wrote what was essentially going to be the final chapter in 300. This is what he told The Fourth Wall, the Playlist's podcast. But when I sat down to write it, I actually wrote a different movie. And he said he wrote pretty much a gay romance. Now he says, I was writing this thing about Alexander the Great, and it just turned into a movie about the relationship between Hephaestion and Alexander. It turned into a love story, so it really didn't fit in as the third movie. And we continued by saying, but there was that concept, and it came out really great. It's called Blood and Ashes, and it's a beautiful love story, really, with warfare. I would love to do it. Warner Brothers said no. They're not huge fans of mine. It is what it is. Now, I will say this is a great idea. I love the 300. You couldn't tell me these men wasn't sleeping with each other, especially in them days. But, the Roman warriors, and a lot of them, there's articles out there that talks about like Roman soldiers and Greek soldiers, how they were very sexual with each other, that they were having sex with each other, and it was not an issue. And in those days, it wasn't an issue. I can get into a whole conversation about Catholicism rearing its ugly head and making homosexuality evil and the wrong thing. And we can go into the history of Catholicism and their hypocrisy, but we won't. You have to look it up and do the research. But I've kind of always been disappointed with Warner Brothers. They're making decisions on a lot of things that have been pissing me off. One being that they're trying to do the whole Dune HBO Max deal, cinematic theater deal. They're going to lose money on this film. We may not get a sequel. I think the movie, that film particularly, should just get a theatrical release, because a film of that scope should be seen on a big screen and make their money. Now, I've been angry with Warner Brothers for a while because the things that they've done in regards to, okay, I just got the 15-minute thing. Okay, I got it. What they've been doing in regards of how they've treated Zack Snyder, the way they did his original cut, where they brought Joss Whedon in, and that movie was a piece of shit. I loved the fact that they created the whole Snyder Cut 4 hour film. Oh, half hour of that could have been cut from that version, the newer version. But I thoroughly enjoyed the Snyder Cut way more than I enjoyed the theatrical cut that we got, which was a hot ass mess and disjointed and dark hair colors there. You could definitely see the disjointedness between what they created with that film and what Joss Whedon came in and did versus what Zack Snyder did. And for a long time, I've been saying that, you know what, I'm tired of homosexuality, gays being cut out of history when it comes to things with Roman warriors. Gay people don't just sit up in here, do hair, makeup, and nails. A lot of men were in love in those days, warriors, soldiers, that sort of thing. There are different aspects of gay people, but I guess in Hollywood, you need to be able to identify something easily because you don't want to confuse your audience. The only people that be confused is stupid heterosexuals. Not saying you all are, just those who are going to question it, like, how can he be gay? I don't believe it. Gays come like the rainbow, all different shades, all different sizes, all different colors. Not all a monolith. Sorry to shock you, but gays aren't a monolith. People of color aren't a monolith. Black people aren't a monolith. There's a thing called diversity. The word diversity exists for a reason. So it would be great to see this version. And it's unfortunate that Warner Brothers, of course, passed on this. But I really hope, excuse me, I really hope that Zack Snyder could take this idea to maybe Netflix or Amazon. I mean, he has his new movie, Army of the Dead, coming out this week through Netflix. It looks really good. I'm excited to see it. I loved what he did with Dawn of the Dead. I like what he does with zombies. This movie goes on a little too long, but that's always been a problem with Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder doesn't know when to end his films. He it just goes on and on and on. He doesn't know when to kind of zhuzh it down. That's always been his weakness. But overall, the man is a visual genius. I would definitely love to see something like this happen. But you know what? If I want to get my thrill of men, in Roman times and sandals and little skirts and half naked or fully naked, fornicating, I'll just put on the old episodes of Spartacus. But hopefully, fingers crossed, excuse me, we actually get this version out there someday. Now, let's talk about the Gay Officers Action League, who revealed that Heritage of Pride, the organization that is the organizer of the New York City Pride festivities, has banned official law enforcement participating in their events. Now, the New York City Pride organization, or organizers rather, have long welcomed law enforcement groups to participate and have partnered with GOAL and other LGBTQ law enforcement groups to criticism over recent years. And a decision they confirmed early in the week, New York City Pride organizations have brought that relationship to an end. Now, in a statement released, I believe on Monday morning when this news came, oh wait, it wasn't actually Monday morning, it was Saturday, because I remember during one of the shows that I was doing, I think it was it was Saturday, because I was doing my podcast, and I remember before I went on air, I saw this story, and I sent it to another show that I listened to, Host Chat Live. They saw it and they talked about it. Now, in a statement released on Saturday morning, Hop stated to LGBTQ Nation via email, effective immediately, New York City Pride will ban corrections and law enforcement exhibitors at New York City Pride events until 2025. Now, at that time, their participation will be reviewed by the Committee Relations and Diversity, Accessibility, and Inclusion Committees, as well as the Executive Board. And they stated, in the meantime, NYC Pride will transition to providing increased community-based security and first responders while simultaneously taking steps to reduce NYPD presence at events. I actually like this idea. I'm going to tell you why, but it's also saying that it's, the reason for this, it's an increased budget for security and first response. Pride organizers said that NYPD is not required to lead first response and security at NYC Pride events. All aspects of first response and security can be relocated to train private security community leaders, and volunteers will be reviewed. And now I think that's a good thing, because then we can vet and we can, provide who we need to do for our own community. We will police our own people. We don't need the police coming in because a lot of y'all don't know how to handle situations when it pertains to us. Y'all have not done the greatest job in regards of treating our community with the utmost respect, particularly people of color. And not only people of color, but queer people of color. We're well aware, and I think people seem to forget that once upon a time, because I know there was this is caused a divide, and there was this argument on when I was on Facebook and I was reading people's comments, not only in my situation on my page, but on other people that were talking about it. There was this issue where they were saying, well, this is a slippery slope, and what's going on? I don't think it's a slippery slope. Number one, people seem to forget how the Stonewall riots began. Back 50 plus years ago, the Stonewall riots happened because the gays, the queers, the drag queens, the trans people, trans women, the flaming faggots, those people who cannot hide who they are, were sick and tired of being vilified by the police, were sick and tired of certain establishments getting ransacked and kicking their door, having gays line up, and they were arresting them and sending them to jail. Like, people were tired of being harassed. Our community was tired of being harassed, and they got sick and tired of it. And they were like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to bust up your windows. We're going to start fires. We're going to do all this craziness. Nobody died in this situation, but there was riots because the queer community was tired of the police and their crap. So for people to say, well, the police, how could you just ban them from being a part of our community? Have we become so corporatized that you've forgotten your own history? And that's another argument that I have on how corporatized the pride parades have become in pride events. All of a sudden, come June 1st, every organization under the sun loves the gays. And then come July 1st, them same rainbows that was hanging up outside their buildings and in their windows, where'd they go? Where they at? Where they at, sis? Put me on. You put it back in the box until for 365 days later. And then also I know people were complaining and saying that, but what about the gay cops and this, that, and the other? What about them? Like, to me, when I said about the same thing with Black Lives Matter and that sort of thing, silence equals complicity. Complicitness, complicity, whatever complicit version you want to use. So when you don't speak out for your own community and you are a gay cop, you are still a problem, not the solution. And I feel for, if you feeling like you're not a part of the community, maybe you can, I don't know if you can, if you are a cop, if you can be private security. I mean, you can have retired cops who, will provide and be security at these events. First of all, I don't even know if we're having a pride this year. Like, we've opened, New York City subways are back to 24 hours. I know nightclubs and bars are going to be going back to 4 a.m. closing times. I don't know what's going on with, there's a lot of, clubs and bars that are, are providing their restrictions in regards of who can come in and who can't come in. And you have to have your ID, or your vaccination card. So there's a lot that's going on with this. And we're still trying to figure things out. But I don't know if we're having a pride this year. I don't know what's going on because things keep changing. Like, this virus, it keeps evolving. So does the news about the NYPD. Well, not even the NYPD, but this event. I have no idea if we're getting a pride this year. I hope we do. I would wish that we could. I know there's going to be certain virtual events and there's going to be certain things going on and people will be having certain parties. But we're playing this by ear at the moment. So I don't even know if we're having a pride. I would love that we would, or there'd be something that would go on. I'm going to try to see if I could do something for the final week. But at the end of the day, this is a topic that I'm probably going to be talking about for a while on many different platforms, and that I want to speak out on a lot more. And what I want is for you guys I want to hear your opinions on this. This is definitely something that I would like to read in the comments. Either you could put it up on the live tweet because you can live tweet it. You can post it on YouTube. If you watch this video later on YouTube, definitely leave this in the comments. I definitely want to see what you guys have to say on this, and not only this story, but on the other topics that I just discussed as well. So without further ado, we have come to a close on this chapter. So thank you all for watching this episode on the line. I'm your host, Kris Avalon, and until next time, ciao, darlings.